Plaintiff Athena Oya Sapphire is a transgender drag queen, but she claims she had a hard time getting bookings early on in her career. Athena claims the defendant frequently hired her to perform at his drag shows, but he often canceled on her, so she's suing him today for lost wages. Defendant Robert Burke says he has been hosting drag shows for the past 7 years, and they've been a huge success. Robert insists he paid Athena everything she was due, and therefore he denies owing.
Start with you.
My name is Athena Oya Sapphire. I started out as a professional stilt walker at the State Fair about 10 years ago. And then, shortly after the season was over, I started my career as a drag entertainer, which led to a very close-to-heart path. And now I live my life as a transgendered woman, because I am, as such, a woman. About 3 years after I started performing, it seemed really hard and like a very steep path, considering the climate it is in Texas. A lot of white owners and a lot of Republicans, all the same, people to tell you what to do with your body, when and where. And so I didn't get my first booking until my 4th year, and I had been performing for 3 years. And I took that.
Booking with particular clubs?
No, it was a lot of moving around, a lot of traveling, because it's hard to get a set-in-stone contract from anybody. So I was spending my time.
4th year you got one?
No, not even still. It's now in my 9th, 10th year, I'm finally getting one.
Okay.
I've been performing for, like I said, 10 years, and as a trans woman only for the last 3. And then I moved to Dallas, and I realized where my heart really was, and I just couldn't stop. I realize what drag is and isn't in this community, and I see a lot of people have their stereotypes in their mind that drag is only for cis males that are very hyper-feminized and are showgirls with flat feathers and rhinestones and things like that. But drag in its core is actually for anybody. It's for women, it's for men, it's for children. Judge, you could be a drag artist if you wanted to, because it's just about your art.
I agree.
So having people that tell you who you are and what you are makes it very watered down. Trying to assimilate your art to be anything other than art makes it a little harder. Then when you ask to be a show director, you need to host, book the talent, and perform to your highest ability.
Plaintiff Athena Oya Sapphire is a transgender drag queen, and she claims the defendant hired her to perform and then failed to pay her.
Let me congratulate you or thank you for helping us to evolve educationally. And see, my understanding, and that's why I'm going to refer to it, but you can correct me now because it sounds like you're saying something different, that you all respectfully should be referred to as female impersonators, and that you all in the community can call each other drag queens or drag. So that's why I'm making sure. We're not supposed to say drag. You're saying drag art.
Well, hold on.
Is that appropriate?
My apologies, Your Honor. Actually, female impersonator is more directed towards those cis men who are pretending to identify with the female diaspora.
Can we use drag? That's the problem.
Yes.
That's the question.
You were able to use the term drag.
I know, but I didn't think so.
We would prefer drag queen as
all right,
such.
you sure?
Positive. The term
make
female
sure we got you on tape, so when I get in trouble, I'm digging up. You're gonna be my witness.
I think you'll be okay, Your Honor.
And yes, if I wanted to, I could be in a female impersonator show all I want, dress up like that. If somebody thinks that that affects who I am, that's their ignorance.
Correct.
And if they want to test that theory, I provide an easy way for you to get that confidential information.
Correct.
About whatever. So, yeah, I would wear one if I want to. Now that you mention it.
But also, you don't...
Hold on. Now that you mention it, I think I might.
At least once before
I can be in a drag show, right?
Absolutely.
Put
Male
the feet,
or
I can
female.
do all of that.
There's drag men and drag women alike.
One of these old homophobes and tough guys is you can do all that and still not front them off. I dare them to say something to me. Now what? What you want to do?
I love that.
I'm dressed up like a woman. You got something to say?
Life is...
That's how I handle that. So I think I'm gonna do that.
You should, sir.
I think I am.
I'll do your makeup for you, make you look real good.
I'm gonna do it though. I think I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna do it in a public way so I can generate a lot of talk, and any of that homophobic stuff, I'm gonna challenge it. And tell them to come find me if they don't like me. The other day I was on an interview and we were talking about my son being gay and coming out to the general public, and I said, yeah, anybody talk about it, they better not talk about my son now. Be careful. If you do, you're gonna have to see me. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna make it hard on you. Here's my address. Anyhow, but I'm just sticking up for all oppressed and discriminated against people. That's what I do.
Thank you.
That's what I do. It's nothing specific about your sexuality other than my son, who I'm very protective of, and my brother who passed, who I was very protective of. But aside from that, it doesn't matter what is what and who the discrimination is coming toward. And that's what I do, and that's what a judge should do. Stand for justice and fight against discrimination and injustice. That's what I'm about. And it's personalized now because of my son. Let me hear from you, sir. Give me some background.
As a father of a gay son myself, I totally agree with you, because there's not a father out there who's more proud of his son than I am.
And the fathers who deny their sons or won't embrace their sons just because of their sexuality are low down and don't love their child more than they do their own little reputation. I don't want people to think I got a gay son. Why, you coward? You deny your son over some criticism by some strangers or friends? You deny your son? Coward. So that's why I say to all you men who are denying your son because you are worried about what people will say, you are cowards. And if you just don't want to embrace your son because you have a personal dislike, then you are putting your personal dislikes over the love you have for your child. And so I just want to make it plain for those who have that type of feeling, religious or otherwise. It's about whether you treat them equal to everybody else.
Yes.
I'm sorry, sir, but these things are so important to our
I understand.
society.
I agree with you.
Go right ahead. I'm sorry. I had to get it at.
Well, about 20 years ago, I was a partner in a bar, and we were trying to think of things to do to bring in business. And we decided we'd try a drag show. I'd never been to a drag show before in my life, but we did it, and I noticed it was just very entertaining. It was really a blast.
It was.
I watched the people in the audience, and they loved it. It only lasted for a short period of time. I got a call from somebody just out of the blue asking me if I still was doing drag shows. And I kind of laughed, and I said, I haven't been doing that for 15 years. But it got me thinking, as a businessman, I knew that I remembered how entertaining the shows were. But at the time, the only place to go see a good drag show was usually at a gay bar, and usually really late at night. And I thought, you know, it's a little bit more mainstream. There's some television shows that have come out, kind of brought it to the forefront. And I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea to do it in venues that anybody would feel comfortable coming to, that maybe weren't known for doing drag shows, but to do them at an earlier hour? By 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, I'm in bed, you know? And so...
I guess drag shows aren't for old men or young adult men.
Right,
wherever you put yourself. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call
And
you.
so I talked to a few people, and everybody thought it wouldn't work, it was a bad idea. But I had a business relationship with a lady in Dallas who was the general manager of a very large, well-known music venue. And she liked the idea. So she allowed me to do our first show there. And so this summer, it will be 7 years that I've been doing drag shows. I didn't know one drag performer in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I had to go and look for some and, you know, find venues. And
what's the most entertaining part? I want you to tell folks, and from an outsider's perspective, not as a talent, but from a viewer, what's the most interesting part? I went to one with my family for my cousin, Sammy Carr. I like to give him his props. He's female impersonator, does a great job, and goes around the country doing it. And so we were in San Francisco once, my family, Linda and our children, and he was there doing his, he invited us, we went, and it was the time of our lives. It was just fun. What do you say to
I think
people
it's
who-
the freedom of going into a venue where everybody is there for one purpose, to be entertained, and you don't care what the world is thinking at the time.
Right.
And so you can just let your hair down and enjoy the entertainment because they are entertaining.
Very entertaining.
Plaintiff Athena Oya Sapphire is a transgender drag queen, and she claims the defendant hired her to perform and then failed to pay her.
Tell me why you're suing, Athena.
Because it's more than just about money, let's be very clear. It's about the principle of what this all means to me as a black trans woman in Texas, let alone America. And I'm from Dallas. I didn't start my transition when I wanted to in 2016 because I watched, not physically, but I found out that my closest drag friend had just been murdered in her home with her child and daughter there as well. And that shook me to my core, and that stopped my transition completely. But now that we're here and I'm able to do this in such a manner, I thank you for giving me this platform to speak about the serious things of it all. Also, female impersonator is for cis men. Once you transition or become something less than just masculine, drag artist and showgirl are more appropriate.
I can say drag artist.
You can say drag artist and showgirl, but male.
I'm gonna call around. You ain't get me in trouble. I'm gonna call around first.
Actually, saying drag artist is better than saying female impersonator because
Really?
when you call me a female impersonator, it's like you telling
You
me.
are female. Yeah.
Correct.
So what are you
I'm not impersonating anything. Yes. So there's that. And that's why drag is for everybody, not just
Okay.
men.
Good enough.
or
I'll
children
call
or women.
around though.
Correct.
And tell you ain't gonna get me in trouble until I get
Right.
somebody to stamp that. All right. So what did he do specifically regarding your wages for you to lose wages?
Well, we'll start with the peak of all of this. Our rapport started because their previous employee no longer wanted to work there any longer. Unbeknownst to me, not my business. I was called last minute to come do a job and do a job very well, might I add. I do everything. I host, I'll book the shows, I made the flyer with another person. So there's a lot of my time going into this baby that is not mine. I really saw it for what it is, my worth. There's even a clip I have to show you what my worth looks like on the stage.
Let's take a look.
This was back in Galveston Beach. I had a small residency there. Then I came back to Dallas. It's more than just hosting. It's very athletic and very demanding on the body. Nine years of simply this is a feat in itself in my eyes. Yes, and I also don't see a man anywhere in this video. That is a woman on that stage.
All right. Good. So, what did he do though? That's what we're here, or failed to do.
So early on, I noticed that I would have a lot of responsibilities, and I kind of just took them on without many questions. But when things came up, such as canceling shows or my fare to get to the venue and back would not be compensated, these things start to take a toll on that pay that you're supposed to be going to get. And it made it a little bit harder to want to sustain myself every day.
What did he fail to do though? Get to the
He
legal
failed
issue.
to compensate me for my time and for
Work twin, did he fail to compensate you for which work hours or?
it would be on page 2, I believe. It starts at page 3 to page 8. You'll see the conversations we've had.
And you worked these dates and weren't
Yes.
paid?
Some of them. There are days where one show out of 3 shows could be canceled, and we would have to move accordingly. Or one day I wouldn't be able to fill the gap of entertainers and would have to perform twice as hard. Or a DJ didn't show up, and I'd have to DJ and host and perform, and all of these things. I just want to be respected for my time.
Plaintiff Athena Oya Sapphire is a transgender drag queen. And she claims the defendant hired her to perform and then failed to pay her.
Sir, what do you say?
Well, I've been doing this for 7 years. There's a certain amount that I pay my show host, and then there's a certain amount that you pay the other performers. The show host normally gets about 50% more than the performers because they do have more responsibilities. I met Athena under kind of unusual circumstances. The previous show host that I had called me up and told me that he was going to be leaving. We had an agreement that if he were to ever leave, he would give me 30-day notice. And I had an agreement with him that if I ever replaced him, I would give him 30-day notice. That was only fair. He called me up and said he wasn't going to be doing the shows anymore. That's fine, he had the right to do that. But he said, I'm a man of my word and my integrity, and I'll finish out the month. He did it the first week, and then the following week, he just, without contacting me and still hasn't, I found out by mistake on Thursday that he didn't intend to keep his word. He wasn't a man of integrity, and I had shows on Saturday and Sunday. I tried to contact performers, and then I found out that he was out posting and spreading lies with me, and I know Athena will agree with that. He was telling people that I didn't pay my performers, that I was a racist, that I set people of color in the back of the room, all kinds of just lies, slanderous things. And he was doing that because he had decided to move right down the street from me and compete with me directly at a venue where we used to perform. And he felt like he probably couldn't compete with me, you know, on an even scale, and so the only way to do that was to try to slander me. So one of the bar owners called me up, knew I was having a hard time getting performers because of these rumors that were being said. When I saw the post, I immediately put out a post, and I said, if there's one performer in 7 years I haven't paid, you come forward, and I'll eat my computer in front of my club in downtown
So
Fort
you
Worth.
paid all the things that she's alleging you failed to do?
Exactly, yes.
And
I paid what I agreed to pay her.
yeah, April 16 of 22, was that one of the dates?
The dispute, Your Honor, if I might say, is that I had made a deal when we started doing, we did several shows during a weekend. We started to do a drag brunch. I went to my former hostess and MC and said, I'm going to do something different that no other bar owner has done, no other venue has done. I want you to own that show. You're going to get 100% of the ticket sales, and I want you to split that between your performers. When I hired Athena, I told her what I pay per show. I don't know where people are coming from. I don't know, you know.
Did she get the price that you agreed to?
Every time when she left the building, I paid her what I agreed to pay her.
Cash or how?
Usually cash, or you Venmo or PayPal it to them. I do that with every performer. When they leave the building, they have been paid their base pay.
All right, and he says he paid you, and you're saying that's not
It
true?
was the bare minimum.
Was it what he agreed to pay you?
It was the bare minimum.
Did he
and
pay
yes,
you what
it
the
was
agreement was?
Mostly, that's what I'm getting at, because he also offered me.
How much
the
was he
same
supposed to
position.
pay you for April 16?
April 16th, I'd have to look back on that day. It was it a Saturday or Sunday?
No, this is the evidence you
Yes.
provided me. Your
It
claim is
was-
dismissed. You're unable to tell me what the agreement was. It's your claim to prove, and you're unable to prove it. Your claim is dismissed. Have a good day.
As long as you leave this place knowing that being a white privileged man doesn't get you what you want, but having respect for the people you work for does, then I'm happy.
I love you, Athena. You're one of the best performers we've ever had. You are by far the best show host, and you are a wonderful human being. And let's go back and do some shows, and let's make some deals that make us both happy. I want you to be happy.